Hello everybody, welcome to my live draft analysis on wrap dresses, vintage 1950s, Claire Mccardle really. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Charlotta and my channel and my website and my Instagram are called The School of Pattern Cutting. I'm really passionate about learning to make your own clothes with a sort of vintage inspiration and trying to make it easy. So taking something quite special, breaking it down so you can make your own. So welcome to this live. I'm going to have a look. Oh, there's some of you already here. So hello Sharon and hello Hannah and hello Quanita. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday and joining me. So if you're my Patreon, you already know yesterday I released a drafting tutorial on how to draft this Claire Mccardle. There's two, one big, one little, even if I look the same size on screen. Tutorial. And next Saturday I'm going to be back on here actually reviewing how the two matter. But as I've only put out the drafting tutorial yesterday, I wanted to give you like a week's time to actually watch it before I look at the dresses in detail. And also next week there's sewing tutorials. But next Saturday you actually know how to make the dress, and then we can compare it and you can ask any questions you have. But I thought I look at some different wrap dress inspiration today. This use, so if you have watched the tutorial, you can sort of see how you adapt it to your own style if you don't want to do a Claire Mccardle. Oh, and there's two more have joined. Hello Heather and hello Adette, and I think it might be 9 people watching. So whoever else is watching, hello, welcome to the live draft analysis. You see, I've played around with the lights a bit, so I'm slightly better lit, and I've washed my hair today, which is why I've got a different hairstyle. But anyway, I hope you all had a nice Saturday. It's really weird weather here, so it's sort of been feels quite tropical. It keeps on raining, but it's quite nice. And it's nice to be looking at vintage dresses with you as well. So if you on my Instagram, you might have seen some of these dresses already. If you aren't, please join me. I always have lots of tips and tricks on Instagram, lots of inspiration. And on Instagram, it's a bit easier to chat to people throughout the week. So I really like it. It's got a really nice community. Of course, I get to see your stuff, which is lovely. So I'm going to add my sketchbook to the stream now. It's like magic. Oh, I know a lot of you love really full skirt. This is not the wrap dress tutorial. I'm working on all the tutorials for next 2 months and bits and pieces, and one I'm working on is a super full circle skirt inspired by Madeleine Vionnet, and I think Hannah will definitely love it because I think she's a fellow full skirt appreciator, and I know Kate is as well. She's here. But look, this is how the top of it looks. It's like a more than a full circle, and I'm working on the trial at the moment, and it looks beautiful. Yes, so I got you right, Hannah. You like a full circle. But let's have a look at wrap dresses. So this is up slightly. This is the dress which inspired my tutorial, and I quite like it because it's quite an unusual wrap dress. Because first wrap dress I saw were sort of Diane von Furstenberg, and they are sort of always in jersey. They're quite clingy. They're very sort of 70s, sexy, and they're lovely for another reason. They're very wearable again because they're jersey. But this is sort of quite special. It's very glamorous, which I like. But I know it's not for everybody's style. I know the really high waist, a really high neckline, can be a bit unflattering. If you, for example, quite full busted. Some people don't like it because it makes this area quite long, but of course we all got different figures, so it depends on your shoulders, everything you like. But I thought I look at some different options. I'm gonna just quickly scroll through all of them and then look at a few. So this is another original Claire Mccardle, and the reason why I liked it, it's the similar construction to ours. and you can see inside because it was for sale. But you can see it's basically the same, but without the wraps and without the pleats, and then it has like a belt wrapped around, and it's got this sort of quite interesting waist, and it's all on bias again, so it's sort of quite unusual, quite different. And what I liked about is that they had an inside photo, and inside you can actually see how it's all constructed. So this is a proper wrap dress, because if you watch the tutorial, I talk a bit about how this, I'm going to open it up quickly. And this is all like brand new, because this is only coming to Patreon next week. So you're getting a little sneak peek. Well, because this is actually not a full wrap dress. It's a proper dress. So it doesn't open up, which I quite like. But it works like a wrap dress. But it's always nice to see how other ones work. So this has the same sort of big hook and eyes. Claire Mccardle loves is a sort of detail. So it hasn't actually got, because I always think a lot of wrap dresses have the ties, which I think is great because you can loosen it and you can re-tie it. But if you're like me and you're quite fidgety, I hate it when they're even not tight enough or too tight. I mean, you're always constantly adjusting it. So for me, something like that, which is just fitted, actually works better. Because otherwise, I don't like it. But maybe you prefer the options to tie it. And of course, you don't have to put in any buttons, which is always good. There's also another Claire Mccardle, which I thought was really nice, because it's more or less identical to this one. I think it is identical. If you look how, I hope you can see it because it's so dark. Can you see? It's got exactly the same pleats. It's got a really high wrap. So that's what's quite unusual about this. But then it's a bit more daywear, because they just added this little sort of Peter Pan collar, and you sort of button it up. So it really becomes more of a shirt dress with a wrap. So I thought it was quite nice. I don't really need to look at it, because you can just use your drafting tutorial, and instead of the special Claire Mccardle collar we did in the drafting tutorial, just put on a Peter Pan collar. So but I thought it still was quite nice. Oh, there's a really nice one. This is, well, I don't know whether you will like it. Do you like this one? Oh, you like the pink Mccardle. I need to look at the comments more often. You like the pink Mccardle. Yeah, I think that's, I'm going to analyze it, because I think that's really special. What do you think of this one? I don't know whether it actually counts as a wrap dress. I quite like it. It's another Claire Mccardle, because it has the sort of same, it wraps, but a bit more unusually. So it's got a really oversized shawl collar, and then she's done sort of the wrap, but it only grows out of the middle, and you could call it more of a double button stand. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, in that case, we definitely won't look at it. And it's on a mannequin, so I just found it on Etsy. Let me see. Yeah, it's not. What I do is, on this one, I put up some pictures on Instagram, because I'm not sure it's that relevant anyway. So I'm going to have a look now. It's all the Mccardle ones. I'm going to have a look at a few other ones. And oh, actually, this is another Claire Mccardle. And I like this because, can you see, we've got really, on our Claire Mccardle, we've got a really high wrap. This goes similarly high neckline, but it hasn't got the special Claire Mccardle collar. But it goes from a normal back neck flat, no collar at all, just a neckline. And then it goes down all the way to your waist. And then again, it has the pleating. But this time, all the pleating is on the shoulder. So you can use the same method. But you use some of the more volume into the shoulder and some into the waist. And I think I might be added volume as well. But can you see, again, it's got the really nice Claire Mccardle dolman sleeve, like in the tutorial. So quite a high dolman, but giving you it sort of all-in-one style and making it quite easy to make, which is great. This is the Claire Mccardle, but I thought this was really nice because it's lots of drafting techniques I've either done here on YouTube already. So you could just do a shawl collar like this one. So it's literally you wrap top with a lower wrap again, and in this case you're just keeping darts rather than creating pleats. And then it's got shawl collar, and then this one, same bodice construction. These ones got ties, and one just got contrast skirt, and one is all the same. And it's 6 panels. It's another tutorial you can do for more tutorials, and it takes less than 10 minutes, so it's good. And this has got the really nice pleated neckline. I think we've done a few times, and I can link to that as well. So it's sort of quite nice how you can see how it's the same bodice, you can just do different colors. So that's what's great about pattern cutting. But even if you had, for example, a wrap dress pattern already, a sewing pattern, you can just adapt whatever color you want to. And let's have a look. I know this one a lot of you loved. I'm not actually. I think this is quite interesting because it can be treated as a wrap dress, but I don't think the original. I'm not 100% sure the original pattern is a wrap dress. It could be, but it's very. I know a lot of you love Mrs. Maisel or Mrs. Maisel's clothes, like I do, and she had blue and red dress with really nice neckline, and it's exactly the same. But it's sort of red, blue, and then contrasting in the skirt. And this is sort of interesting. I think. Would you like me to analyze this properly in a second? Because that's quite interesting how I've done the collar, and the techniques are quite similar to the Claire Mccardle. But you can see on these ones, you got a fitted dress underneath, and then you've got just a decorative panel rather than an actual wrap panel. So if you would like to see that one, let me know. And there was one more. So I need to go into. Sometimes they don't download very well, and this one didn't download. Let me quickly email it to me, because that's the one I know lots of you loved. I don't think this iPad is something ridiculous, like 12 years late. I'm old, so it's amazing it still exists. And it doesn't like certain formats for some reason. I'm going to quickly email it to me again, and we might have a look at it. Sorry, that's not very professional. So I think I look at the Claire Mccardle. Are you happy if I look at that? And I will look at the Mrs. Maisel, and then I will hopefully, if I can't, I will do it another day. I will look at this one. There we go. Because this one is really interesting, because it's more like a, I'm sure you all have heard of the 1 hour dress or the popover dress. Have you heard of that one? It's the one where you attach the front and the back on the shoulder seam, and then you put on, I think, your front first, like you put your head in, and then your back wraps around your front. And this is sort of similar, but what I quite like about it, that it has this wrap back. But I'm not quite sure about is, can you see how it looks like on here? It looks like it's got a fake wrap. So that's even more interesting. So it's a bit like the last one you looked at, but it might not, but you can, of course, always make a wrap fake or real. And if I go back to the single screen. The full-sized one I made as a fake wrap. But it is a wrap, it's 2 layers, but you don't use them as an option to get in and out. So for this one, the entry is all about the wrap. The wrap is for closures, is how you get in and out of the dress. While this is my full-size version, the wrap is a stylistic detail, but I've got a zip to get in and out. So that's what you can always adapt with your drafting as well. I'm going to talk about a bit more in the sewing tutorial next week about that. But let's have a look at some analysis. And I'm going to go full screen on this one. Sorry. So this is not going there. Oh, there you go. Here you go. So sorry. Hello, Astrid, and hello, Apele. Yes, you're right. It's the full coverage and the wrapping at the back. It is like an apron. But I think a lot of these dresses, they're what you would call aprons. So it's something you just pop on top of your, I think even the Claire Mccardle dress was very much something you maybe even popped on top of your evening dress. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's sort of, I think a lot of these are quite practical. Like, that's what I like about them. You can just step in and out of them. So I'm going to start with the lovely Claire Mccardle dress. Oh, there's another one here, but it's quite simple. It's sort of always how much time do you have? Because this is the same as that. And these are both really nice as well. Again, just pleats and the shoulder instead of the side. So let's have a look at this one. So this is a Claire Mccardle, and what's really clever is, so it's got a normal neckline, it hasn't got any special collar at all, and then it's got a completely plain front. So it's quite different from ours, and it has got a little sleeve. I'm gonna have a look at it in a second. It might even have a sleeve, like a normal satin sleeve and a gusset, which is sort of quite a 1950s method. Let me quickly have a look inside or here. Oh, actually, that's got dolman sleeve. I drew that. Oh, sorry. This is why you always need to look really closely. Can you see on here? There's a dart in the shoulder. So what I thought at first was a satin sleeve, because on here it looks like it's a satin. It does look like a satin sleeve, but apparently if you look at it from the side, it is just a really long dart. So this is quite a new so instead of actually I'm going to start a new page, because that sort of changes. And I think that's why, look, well, I always think, I think you can learn a lot by looking at images like that, but then you might still think, oh yeah, dart, yeah, great dart, fantastic. I'm still going to do my visual satin sleeve because that's what suits me. It's I know how to construct it. I know how it fits me. If I'm going to put in a dolman sleeve, it won't fit me as well. I have to do another trial. So, you know, it's like, I always think, like, do look at it, get inspired, and then adapt it yourself. And I think the reason why I've got a dart there is quite interesting, because normally what you want with a dolman sleeve is, I'm actually going to go back on the double screen after all this. So I can show you why I think it's really interesting. So this is a dolman sleeve on this dress, and you can see it's got a really nice shoulder. What they have done is they've put a dart here. Let me check a back view as well. And I have sort of looked at these, but not in as much detail as I probably should have. So what I am actually 100% sure about this dart is if I would have added a dart up here, what you actually do is, but what you always want is a nice rounded shoulder. By adding a dart in, you actually sort of making it go more straight out, so it actually becomes more boxy rather than rounding on your shoulder. So I wonder whether it is actually a dart or whether it is a satin shoulder. It looks like a dart on some of the images, but I don't actually understand the point of it. So if you know why the hell you would, or what the reason could be for a dart, because it's not a, can you see, because down here it's a dolman sleeve and up there's a dart. I think it's a bit odd. I would either do the dolman sleeve or I would do it a satin sleeve. I wouldn't put a dart there, but I will draw it with it. So we're drawing this style rather than my version. But I think that's why you have to be quite, it's analyzing. So you're not just copying, you are actually thinking about what suits you. So then it's just got a fitted base. And then this is exactly 90 degree. And then it has got these dolman sleeves with a very strange dart. There it goes. It's made my evening because I don't understand why you have a dart there. So it's a bit of a puzzle. It's also got just really nice French darts here. And then of course underneath it's got another dart. And Sharon has just said that's interesting to have the dart there. Would it also take away some of the fold that would normally be there? Sharon, that's what I find so weird because it's the opposite. So if you had, sorry, going back to my model, if you had a dart down here, that would pinch out. So that would pinch out the folds and make it less. But a dart up there is actually the opposite. So because it moves the sleeve higher up because it darts it, which means if you put your arm down, you get even more wrinkles. So I'm not 100% sure. There might have been something to do with the bias or something. It's a fabric, but you just needed that lift. But it looked too droopy maybe, and you actually need a bit of lift so the fabric doesn't fall down the sleeve. So that could well be. So it is a good point, and that's what I thought at first, but it's sort of the opposite. But it might be dependent on the fabric, so who knows? And that's of course when you make a trial of something like that. With a dolman sleeve, you so sometimes have to do little changes to make it fit you. Let's go back. And hello, Marguerite. It's nice to see you here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go back to the sketchbook. So I'm looking at a Claire Mccardle dress, and we've just drawn the top. We've got a French dart for shaping. We've got little darts on the shoulders. I'm not 100% sure what they're for. And then, of course, the under wrap has another dart. So the under wrap is exactly the same, but the under wrap looks like this. So it's it hasn't got the V detail. It looks like that. The whole bodice is cut on the bias, and that you can tell from the print how it runs on here. So this is the straight of grain, and that's the straight of grain. warp and weft, and that means your whole body's on the bias, and that means that's how I get away with just the one dart, because it's on the bias, so it will drape around you better. But it also means when you're making your first trial, you might have to do quite a lot of tweaking to get it to fit, because it should look really nice around the neckline, because again, that's on the straight of grain, but because you can move both your waist dart and your bust dart into this dart, but when you're fitting it, you might be able to pinch some out or reshape the side seam slightly because it's on the bias. And the interesting thing is that because this is on the straight of grain and that's on the straight of grain, and that's really going to tell you where everything has to go if you've copied that exactly. So if that's your natural waist, then if you draw in your triangle, so it's got a straight of grain and 90 degree, then that will actually tell you where this line needs to go, which is completely straight. So that's sort of where you can really think about what the fabric tells you and how it fits. And I've got two more questions. So the first one is Sharon. Yes, and Sharon, the widest part of the dart is at the top, and really most of the fold is at the bottom. Yeah, you're completely right. That's why it doesn't make sense to have a dart at the top. But that's where you might make your trial when you see, that's what happens if I put a dart in the top. How does it change the fit? So it might be more, because it is quite a square sleeve, so it might have been done on purpose. Or I just had another idea. I'm going to tell you about it in a second, which might be why there is a dart. And I tell you in a second. It's quite exciting if it's true. And then I've got a question by Jeanette on Miss J. Must all one shoulder designs be cut on the bias, as this is similar to one shoulder design? It doesn't have to do. Claire Mccardle loved bias. You can do a one shoulder design on the straight of grain. You just have to make sure if this line isn't on the straight of grain, so which it wouldn't be with a one shoulder design, then you have to really reinforce it, because it's going to stretch otherwise if it's on the bias. So you might have to stay stitch it and reinforce it with some tape, or you're facing might be on the straight of grain to hold it all in. But I think quite often with anything on shoulder, it's quite often draped, and therefore it's actually nice on the bias. Okay, let's have a quick look at the skirt as well. The skirt is it's just really a gathered skirt. And what you just do is you take your basic skirt block, or best thing is actually start with your torso block. And then you draw in your waistline, and then you just slash and spread your skirt until you've got all the gathers you want. And then the underskirt, so this is the under wrap here. That again, it's sort of gathered exactly the same. And then it's also got pockets, because this is Claire Mccardle and she always had pockets. So I'm quickly going to talk about why I think by Sharon, you've made me think. What might be the reason we have a surprising dart is that this might be a one-piece dress. So what might be that rather than a shoulder seam, I'm gonna get my blocks with me. I wonder whether the center front, whether this is a one-piece design, so you haven't got a shoulder seam here. If that happened, then if you would draw on your dolman sleeve, then a little dart here might really help with some of the shaping. So that might be the reason. I I'm going to have a quick look whether we've got another picture anywhere. Oh, there you go. We've got a picture of the... Okay. I'm sort of right, because on here, you can see it's got a shoulder seam here, and the shoulders, and then the dart going down, but it hasn't got a seam on here. So the way it actually looks is... page. So I'm gonna try to draw it all in. So we've got... I haven't got... I think the back is just straight. So this is our back based. I'm gonna do it laying flat down. Then that's our back side seams, back neck. Then we've got our sleeve attached, and then you got our front. This is where you have to really... And then our front, this is the under wrap, and it wraps like this. But then we've got basically, and I've done something with a Madame Grès, which is similar. I think this will look something like that. So this is my center back. This is my front under wrap. And there might be there might be this is the wrap on top. And then it's basically, it's got shaping at the shoulders, but this is all one piece. And then you got your shoulder seam and your dart. This wraps it all. And this is an awful drawing, but I hope you know what I basically try to say. It's basically the whole body is in one piece, and it actually will look more... It's a really dreadful drawing. I think if the back is on a straight of grain, I think this looks something like this. That's much better. Sorry. There you go. I think this whole top actually looks like this. So that way we've got this on the straight of grain, and then of course we've got our attached waist and this on the straight cent. I'm glad it makes sense, Hannah, because it's sort of only just making sense to me. So it's basically all cut off one piece, and that way we achieve the straight of grain on the wrap and on the center back. But because it's all of one piece, and you want basically where you want the straight of grain, that means you have to move it. So because we want this wrap on the straight of grain, that means we have to then maybe move it out like that, and which is why we then have a seam on the shoulder and a dart there, but the sleeve is out of one piece. So it's actually much cleverer, because if you just looked at the dress like that, you just think, oh yeah, it's a really basic wrap dress. But it's actually much cleverer if it's cut out of one piece. And I think that's always the nice thing about drafting yourself. You can just say, okay, this is great, Charlotta. Really interesting. Yeah, I get why you're excited, but I just want a really nicely fitted dress. But I'm glad Marguerite likes something clever, same as me. And I think that's what it gets quite exciting with stuff like that. It's tricky, of course, to make your trial, to fit, to draft, because you're playing around with getting it all right. But it makes the garment something really special, I think, stuff like that. And one quick word of warning, it might not work. I've got a beautiful... See, I got the trial anywhere. In my absolute disaster of a studio. I've got a beautiful Holston one-piece jacket. And it's the same construction, all one piece, and it's got exactly the same. It has got the shoulder seams, and then it's got little darts here, and then it's got pleated, sort of gathered, puffed sleeve at sleeves, but the whole jacket is just one piece. But it just doesn't look quite right on me. So it's sort of always where you have to think, Yes, a great technique, but if I just use my normal blocks, normal seams, normal dormant sleeve, which really suit me, it might actually work better for me. It might not be very exciting or clever, but it makes dress which will suit me. But I'm glad you all like the idea. I think we all have some things sort of quite unusual, and I think it's also the thing is you can buy lots of really basic sewing patterns, but something like that is a bit cleverer, isn't it? So I'm gonna, what's the time? It's 22:09 already. So I'm gonna I'm gonna give you a choice. Would you like me to look at, would you like Mrs. Maisel, or would you like the back wrap? Do you just want to type it in, either back or Maisel? Just type it in and I will go with your choice. So you got choice of Maisel or the choice of a back, which is of course not a wrap dress. So I'm going to give you a minute to make a decision. And then I'm going to do, we got 2 back wraps already. And the back wrap was very popular on, actually both of them were very popular on Instagram. They're both even the last time I looked. So they're both quite nice. So we got a back wrap and we got a missile, sort of maybe more conventional Mrs. Maisel. There's really more fabrics. I've got, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back wraps and not a single Mrs. Maisel. That's quite clear. Okay. Thank you very much for voting. So, and I always look at the chat when I talk to you instead of at the screen, but yes, you know what I mean. So let's have a look at this. So I think that's very much the pop over dress. You can see this is a beautiful big gingham, and if you're in the UK, Merchant and Mills, there's a, I think it's either linen or cotton, super sized gingham in a pale pink and a olive, and I do red maybe as well. It's absolutely divine. It's incredibly expensive, but it's beautiful. So it's a pretty dress. It's got a really nice sort of flat collar, which also acts as a sleeve, and then it's got a really nice back. So I'm going to zoom into my sketchbook and have a look at it. So as we said earlier, this is probably, strictly speaking, not a wrap dress. It's more a dress with a wrap detail. But then what I find quite interesting is that they have drawn it there. So if you look at that drawing, that's why I chose it, because it looked like a wrap dress. But then if you look at, let's see how whether you will be able to see anything with the drawing. Can you? Yeah, you can sort of see it. On there, it looks like it's completely, it's either fake or it's half fake. I also find, so I'm just looking at it because I always find it weird how I draw it, because this would be, they have drawn it like it stops at the side seam, but of course it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the front and back quickly, and then I'm going to give you a layout. A layout plan. And yes, Hannah, I agree with you. The really nice fabrics are worth their price, but it's sort of using, I think it's, is it £30 a meter? Like it has, like actually this would be quite a special make to make with it. It would be probably worth it. So this is a really wide neck. So I think it's probably something like here. And what's quite clever is it's got this collar on it, which also so forms your shoulder. So it's basically wider than your shoulder strap. And it's actually, I've drawn it pretty slightly. I think it slightly becomes wider at the shoulders. So it's like this. Then it's just got normal armholes. It's got fitted waist, so you can just use your bodice block or your torso. It's got some really nice twinned darts, and if you've done my darts essential course, you know I like a twin darts. It's in there. They're really pretty. I've got twinned pleated dresses, which I really love. And when it's just tight, of course you could make it into a belt buckle as well. And then it's got one really big pocket, but of course you could make it two as well. And then it's this is where I'm gonna fail miserably again. Working out. So it's got the straight of brain here. It's got the straight of brain there, and straight of brain here. Straight of brain, of course, on your tie because that makes it more stable. And then the skirt is on a bias, which then I think means we've got I would do is a quarter because it doesn't look super full. You could of course make it as if you do it as a half front circle, half back circle again. No, actually, when it's a straight of brain. So this is wrong. For once, I'm actually correct. It's a quarter circle because that means you have a bias front. So this is how the front looks. Really nice, very pretty, pleasant. And then the back, I think actually the back is it's one of the dresses where the back is probably slightly more exciting. Do you agree? It's sort of one of those dresses where you can just imagine either be a perfect holiday dress and just sort of wandering around, or actually it'd be quite a nice, I could imagine it being quite a nice, really smart dress as well. And instead of that gingham, you could actually make it a roll collar, which is a bit, glad you agree, Hannah. If you made it instead of a pointy collar, if you made a roll collar, it'd be quite elegant. So if you made it like this, for example, that could be really nice because that's the big sort of statement at the back. And it's got, I would draft this like a Peter Pan collar. So yeah, the back, I think the back is really stunning. So Peter Pan collar, you normally overlap your shoulders slightly. And I think I got a tutorial on YouTube. I put I can put a little link on the screen so you can see me. You see, but then it's of course got the back has got the wrap, and then it's like a shawl collar at the back, but it's actually, I would make it an attached shawl collar rather than a grown on shawl collar. Actually, you could work this whole thing like an back to front shawl collar. That'd be really nice as well. So you actually do a real shawl collar. So you just draft your shawl collar, but what it is, it sits really flat at the front, and you can actually see here it's got quite a lot of volume. So I think normally you want something really fitted. I think for this one, you want, if you make a Peter Pan one, you want quite a gap in between. So it's got that sort of flare. And if you treat it as an upside down, back to front shawl collar, then again, I'm going to show it to you at a normal shawl collar. As a shawl collar, we always want this sort of quite high up and so following the line. I think with this one, you end up having, which is the front, of course, you have it more like that. So it's very wide, which gives you that nice flat front and the nice shoulder. And yes, I agree with you, Heather and Marguerite. The back is elegant and it is rather beautiful. But I think that's what you can sort of see it in the gingham. It'd just be like a perfect summer dress. But if it was a wool, it'd be a really nice business or casual, or even I think in a silk it'd be a nice evening dress as well. And it's just got it's got darts, so the whole style is quite fitted. And then again, interesting enough, can you see here, they haven't done it pointy, so I've done it slightly above. And that's the tie. And then the skirt. I would do the skirt here. I've sort of drawn it straight, but I think that's just how it falls. So I would do the skirt at the back, another quarter circle, because it wraps on top. So it becomes a bit like a cape there. You see the back skirt is actually a bit of a cape. And again, on here, you can see it's on the bias. And then again, you can do this on the straight if you're doing a short collar construction, or you can do it on a bias. I would probably do on the straight because it will give you a proper fit, but you just need to make sure you got a nice facing here, either a facing, or you could line the whole top. And then of course your shoulder on your bodice block is narrower than your actual collar. So the collar acts as your sleeve, like a sort of statement sleeve, but even better. So it just goes underneath. And now do a quick layout and see how it'll work. Let's hope I do it better on the last one, which started out with the last one. I'm going to do it on the other side. Okay, so the way I know we got a little drawing, but it is a bit it's not that great. If you want to, I know we already done wrap dresses. I might put it on a vote on Patreon where people had enough of wrap dresses, whether they want more. The way it basically works is it's not like the last one was all one piece. This one is a bit more conventional, so it fits better, or it's easier to fit. The other one can fit beautifully if you fit your 12 right. So this one you just got your I'm gonna just draw the pieces we will have. You just got your normal front bodice block with your twin darts, and at the front you also got your quarter circle, which means your center front is not on the straight of grain. So that's your straight of grain, and that's your straight of grain. And then the back, you've got your, in this case, you have to have your whole back because it's a wrap, and there's two, and I would treat it identical. And you can see what is quite clever is that the short collar or attached collar starts exactly where the wrap is. So what you have to do when you draft it is that you actually, where it wraps over, where your center back is, that's where your collar starts, because otherwise it becomes, you might want to have an overlap of like a little bit. It might just start just below it. And then I think you can even make it as a short collar, as I said, that's your center front. Or the other option is that you have a separate, let's just center back again. You have a separate collar, because it's sort of, I think, getting the fit for the collar right. So that's your side seam and that's your center front. Because it might end up either looking, it might look completely straight. It might look completely straight, or it might be curved. So it depends. I think it'd probably be easier with a Peter Pan construction, so it's separate, which is this one. And what I would just do is I would draft my front and my back without the collar, and then actually you lay it on, but lay it with a bit of a overlap, and then draw your collar on, and see. And then if you need to change your fit, you can just do some slash lines in the shoulder area for slashing it. And then the back skirt is again 1 quarter circle skirt with my center back. And then I think the front has okay, I'm gonna show this is slightly weird because can you see here it looks like I've got a side seam and there as well. So I think if you wanted to do like a pop over style, so you do it like this, I think you can do it, but then you have to think about how you finish your side seam. What do you think about it? Because I think the normal pop over sort of 1 hour dress, it always has like a wraparound style. This is drawn completely flat without that sort of overlap. So what you could either do is to achieve that sort of look, is that you have then some sort of slight overlap at the side seam to get this drawing. But I actually think I would do it as a working wrap, and that's how I sort of drawn it as well. And if it's a working wrap, it's much easier because you just have a semicircle skirt because you go quarter the front, and then you just get that sort of nice wrap effect at the back rather at the front. So this is actually quite interesting because sometimes you see pattern envelopes and you think, oh, this is how it has to look like. But I think this is actually a really weird flat drawing. Now I've analyzed the pattern. Do you agree? I think this is actually a fully working wrap dress. It's just back to front. What do you think? Do you think it's a pop over dress or wrap dress? I can't quite see it as a pop over dress because a pop over dress is always. Yes, Astrid, I'm right. I say Astrid just said it's a weird drawing. To me, it makes sense to have side seams, and I completely agree with you. I can't see it working because normally a pop over dress is where you have the shoulders sewn together, but you haven't got the side seams attached. You put over your hat, and it has sort of the front and the back extended and just wraps around. And this just looks like it's got normal side seams. Yes, but Hannah, I was trying to find a polite way. If you make a pop over dress, it'd be really dangerous because it doesn't. If you didn't have side seams, it just sort of it'd stop here unless you. Yes, I think we all agreed. And it's a wrap dress. Yeah, I agree with you, Esther. I think it's like a rope, but you put it on backwards. And Marguerite, I'm trying to imagine how it falls when you sit. Yeah, I think it's from 1949, this dress. So I imagine that you would sit quite gracefully and you probably practice your parallel knees to one side when you're sitting down, because you have to be really careful that when you sit down, it doesn't suddenly open it and you're basically got all your skirt gathered to each side and getting all crumbled up. But I think because you have on one side, so this side is attached And then you have the same attached to the other side. So the whole back skirt is actually completely doubled. Yeah, I was trying to find a polite way of saying basically you're going to show your knickers to everybody. But I think it's because you completely overlap it. It's quite safe. I might be trying to find, I've got a 1960s version of this dress. And it is, which was a very short dress, empire. It's like sort of embroidery. And that's actually always really tricky because you always feel like it might suddenly open at the back. But I think because this is quite long and because it's a quarter circle, so you actually end up, because you got one quarter circle at the front and two more quarter circles at the back, you actually got lots of volume. So hopefully it'll be safe. Yes, if the wrap is all the way to one side, Astrid, you're fine. It shouldn't open up, and because it's a really wide skirt as well. The 60s one I have is more straight, and then the back can sort of suddenly, if there's wind, open up. It's more like an apron case, but this one, I think that looks like it should be nice, and I think it actually adds a really nice, can you see here? It's probably quite a nice detail, because normally with wrap dresses, it doesn't show that, but with that, it probably has quite a nice drape. Ooh, Marguerite, you should try to find some pictures of your mum if she made one like that in the 50s. Yeah, so this is 49. You can sort of see it, late 40s. Really nice. So I think we all loved these dresses. What I might do is, because on Patreon there's quite a few more, ask people what they think, whether they would like a sort of more something like that. I might have a look at some other one-piece patterns I have, and whether we could maybe do a Patreon's vote on one-piece garments, which are quite clever. I see I've got a Madame Grès, and we could look at the Holston as well. So I will put it on the base. Oh yeah, if you find it, Marguerite, I'd love to see it. On Instagram or something, you can send me a message. That'd be great. So I'm gonna finish off. Yes, 9 o'clock. I'm gonna finish off now. Thank you so much, everybody who joined me. I hope you enjoyed this. I love chatting with you, and I really like the mystery of the first Claire Mccardle dress, and that's of course the beauty of looking at inspiration. It really helps you think about how you draft your clothes and how your clothes work around you and why you have these starts. And I think with sewing patterns, you just follow the patterns, but if you learn to draft your own, then something like this is great. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. And if you haven't watched before, I'm Charlotta. This is the School of Pattern Cutting. I've got a website with lots of courses. I've got a Patreon with lots and lots of tutorials, just like this one. And also there's a really nice community of fellow pattern cutting enthusiasts, like all the people who've joined me today. Thank you very much. And I'm also Instagram, so always pop over to Instagram. I've got lots of tips and tricks. You can send me anything, inspiration you see via message, or if you share your makes, tag me, and I'd love to see them. But that's it for me for tonight. Thank you so much, everybody who joined me. Hannah, Marguerite, Sharon, Heather, Anita, Janet, and Astrid. Thank you so much. It was lovely looking at wrap dresses with you, and I'll be back next week with a review of the proper Claire Mccardle dress and my interpretation of it. But that's it for me for tonight. Bye, everybody.